Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Sport Vision, and we have some basketball to talk about. There was three crazy games on April 4th, so we're about to hop right into that. If you can like and subscribe, be much appreciated. Get me up an algorithm, you know what I'm saying, so I can get money to buy better equipment. Okay, so let's get into it. So first, I'm going to go over the Philly and Toronto game. This game was tough to watch from the Raptors side because really Toronto had the lead. I believe Toronto had the lead all the way up until the overtime period. Philly came and tied it up at the end, sent it to overtime, and then Embiid just ripped their heart out by hitting that game-winning three. Embiid's been an absolute monster this season. Nothing new there. In terms of Toronto, you had some players step up like Anunoby. He put up 26 tonight. Very, very good game. And I actually saw a stat that when Scotty Barnes doesn't play, OG Anunoby averaged 26 points a game. So he's definitely a stud there for them. Definitely a nice wing player. Going to be a valuable player if they want to, cash in for a superstar this offseason. But pretty much this series is over, and really not much to talk about. Philly's up 3-0. Toronto might come back and win, game four, but when they go back to Philly, I doubt there's a chance they're going to win that game. So that series is pretty much over, man. And Embiid right now is looking like a lot better MVP candidate than Jokic. I know Embiid's got more talent around him to be more successful in the playoffs, but Jokic is getting frustrated and gets so thrown out of games, while Embiid is backing up. Embiid put up 33 and 13, shooting 60% from the field, plus hitting the game-winning shot. Moving on, so James Harden put up 19, 6, and 10. He shot 7 of 13, which wasn't bad. I kind of like this role for James Harden because they got a lot of weapons right now. They got Maxey, who's been on fire. Harris has been hot and cold for them, and obviously you have Embiid. And there's really not much on the bench besides that. And I like this role that Harden's playing, but I think there's going to be a point where he's going to need to put up 30 points a game in a series to match, the Bucks or whoever, or the Celtics who are going to advance. To the next round. So, it's a good season from Toronto. They, did not expect to make the playoffs, and here they are as the fifth seed. It's definitely a good run for them, and they got a lot to look forward with, Fred VanVleet, Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby. Precious Achiuwa had a nice game. He had 20 and 6 off the bench. Definitely a breakout game for him. My team, the Boston Celtics, once again closed out the Nets. It was a mental breakdown by Kevin Durant and Kyrie in that second half. I mean, they didn't really play well all game, especially Durant. Durant ended up shooting 4 of 17 to cap off the game. However, he did drop 27, but he went to the free throw line 20 times. So that's where all of his points came from. Really, just the Celtics defense is really smothering, and they're proving that this defense from the regular season carried over smoothly to the playoffs. And the Nets are struggling right now. I'm happy that the Celtics are up. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not calling it a series just because of the talent that the Nets have. And what interests me about this, I watched this whole game. In the first half, when the Nets were up by like 17 at one point, when we were blitzing Durant and Kyrie, they were dishing off the low post to Bruce Brown, hitting Curry, hitting Drummond on drives, and they really had good ball movement. But once the Celtics made their run, the Nets went back to ISO to try to ice the game, and they completely fell apart. Kyrie went 4 of 13. Durant went 4 of 17. And in the second half, Durant didn't hit a field goal, and Kyrie went like 1 for 7. So that duo went 1 for 17 in the second half of the game. That lost them the game. And then Tatum hit some big shots, Brown hit some big shots, and Smart had that crazy left-handed layup that pretty much sealed the game. We stole all the momentum of that game and, wrapped it up. But again, you can't count the Nets out just because of the offensive talent they have. But it's looking pretty good for the Celtics. Even the Celtics got some good bench production last night. Grant Williams with 17, Peyton Pritchard with 10. Derek White didn't really do much. He just played very solid defense, which is all we really need him to do this series. Very, very great series. And I think it's very ironic that KD and Kyrie had such a poor performance. Literally less than 24 hours from them being called the most skilled duo in the history of sport or the history of basketball, which I'm not arguing against that. They're probably the most skilled at their position ever. Not looking good for them at the moment. But again, going back to Brooklyn, Home court advantage is a real thing. So, maybe they tie it up in 2, and then we have ourselves a whole new series in Game 5. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, for Brooklyn, Bruce Brown has been playing excellent. He's really impressed me the last like 20 games of regular season, and then carrying over in the playoffs. He's really been their third weapon offensively, because when they're blitzing Kyrie and Kevin, he's kind of laying at the free throw line, short post area, and he's getting he's either shooting little floaters, or he's flaring out to the corner, hit some corner threes, and he's also dribble driving and throwing a lob up to Claxton or Drummond. Very, very smart player, and he's going to get paid. I don't know if he's a free agent this summer or next summer, but I can see that boy making like $20 million dollars a year, just the way he's playing in Brooklyn. So definitely, good for him, because I think he was a late first round pick, maybe second round pick. So he's definitely going to have a huge payday, coming this offseason. So very big. Again, for Brooklyn, Dragic had a crazy second quarter. I think he had like 12 in the second. He ended up with 18. A great free agent pickup by then. But again, they just fell short, which they only lost by 7. And if you look at the shot chart of Kyrie and Kevin Durant, you would think would be losing by 20. But they only lost by 7, so definitely some bright spots there. Today, Ben Simmons officially announced to come back for Game 4, which is next Monday. As a Celtics fan, I don't know how to feel about this, because he's a great defender, but it hasn't really been Tatum and Brown killing Brooklyn. They're not dropping 50 and 40 each and killing them. It's really been the all-around play that we have. So I don't know how well Ben Simmons' defense is going to affect the game. Again, he's going to bring good defense, but on the offensive side, it might disrupt their offense even more than it is now, because if Ben Simmons isn't in the dunker spot, you can completely run away from him and really blitz, KD and Kyrie. And Bruce Brown's been playing really well, and I don't know if you want to take those minutes away from him, because Ben Simmons would probably play the Bruce Brown role of kind of like the short, high post area, and catch the passes, in the lane to make a play. And Bruce can also stretch out and hit the corner 3, and Ben Simmons can't. So Brooklyn's going to have to make some decisions here, what they want to do with Ben Simmons and how the Celtics can game plan them. Definitely excited to watch him play again, though. I've always been a fan of Ben Simmons. I always knew he wasn't going to be like the superstar talent, just because we've seen players in the league, develop their skills, work on their skills, and, really perfect their craft. Ben Simmons is not one of those guys. And that, that's totally fine, because he's a very impactful NBA player. I don't know if he's worth a max contract, but he's very, very impactful in the game. I got interrupted and completely lost my train of thought on Ben Simmons. But all I know is Ben Simmons is coming back Game 4. Don't know how much of a factor he's going to be for the Nets moving forward, at least in this series. Final game of the day, we have the Bucks and the Bulls, and I'm so happy that the Bulls pulled this one out, because I was a big believer in the Bulls at the start of the season. I watched them in preseason, and I know preseason it's very light. Basketball is pretty much like scrimmages, but I looked at their team, and I looked at the way they move the ball and they play defense, and I legitimately thought this team could make a deep run in the playoffs. And I still think if they were fully healthy all season, they would still be capable of that. But they just had the injury bug really bad, just like a couple other teams in the East. But I remember, specifically about this series, people thought this was going to be the only sweep in the first round. People thought the Bucks were going to mop the floor with the Bulls. And Game 1 was close. Milwaukee went up big. The Bulls came back, ended up falling up short. DeRozan had a poor game. I think he shot like 6-25. But this game, DeMar made sure that didn't happen. He ended up dropping 41, along with 4 assists, and he took 31 shots to do it. So not a bad efficiency. And then you had Zach LaVine, who played a nice role in this game. He realized that DeMar was on fire, so he didn't really take that many shots. He went 7-13, still put up 20 points. Vucevic had a nice game with 24, and Alex Caruso near double-double with 9 points and 10 assists. Alex Caruso is the engine that makes his team run on defense. I mean, he's just all over the place. And I'm so happy that the Bulls walked away with a W. Look, I do think the Bucks are going to end this possibly in 5. I think the Bulls could push it to 6, especially since they're going back to Chicago. They still one game on the road. But I think Milwaukee will end up closing out the series maximum of 6 games. However, I'm so happy for the Bulls, and they won it. They haven't been in the playoffs in a while, and they had high hopes about halfway through the season because they were the top seed in the East, and they almost fell all the way to the play-in, but luckily they stayed at the sixth spot. But no, definitely a good win for Chicago. I'm happy to see Bulls basketball back. Definitely a great performance by Demar, and I think they're gonna win another one at home, whether it's gonna be Game 3 or Game 4. If they tie up the series 2-2, if they split the road games or the home games with the Bucks, it's gonna be an interesting series. But again, I think Milwaukee's gonna end up closing this one out in 6, possibly 7 games. Now on for the Bucks side, Giannis did his thing, 33, 18, and 9, near triple double, shot efficient like he always does. But some of the players for the Bucks have not been stepping up as of yet in the playoffs. Drew Holiday struggled on the offensive side of the ball, but we know what he is defensively. Absolute defensive monster. Brook Lopez had a good game. He put up 25 last night, and I think he had a good game in Game 1 too. So glad to see that he's back because he was out with a back injury for about most of the season. But 2 players went out for the Bulls or for the Bucks. Sorry, Chris Middleton went out with like a MCL sprain, so he could miss the whole series. I would not be surprised, which makes it very interesting for the Bulls side. Again, you don't want you don't want to root for anyone getting injured, and you don't want to cheer because their team is getting depleted. But that's the way basketball works. So now there's an opening for the Bulls to really push this series out. And also, Bobby Portis got elbowed in the eye. I think he'll be back for Game 3. It didn't look too bad. There was some blood. But I think everything's going to be okay with him. I think he'll be back for Game 3. But yeah, definitely interesting. It was definitely a fun game to watch. Giannis is always a monster. No matter what series, game, or who he's playing, he's always going to go 100%, and that's what's awesome to watch about him. So yeah, that's pretty much the recap. We got 3 more games today. Let me pull them up so you guys can see. We have the T-Wolves and the Grizzlies. That's been my favorite series of the first, besides the Boston, Nets series, of course. But we got Grizzlies Timberwolves, and that series is rounding up to be a very, very good one. We have Dallas and Utah, which I think Luka's coming back. And then we also have the Warriors versus Nuggets, which can be another very fun game because, man, the Jordan Poole party is here, and he's been killing it. So I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next recap. Take care.